Good morning, Service Alliance community. How y'all doing today?
Should be doing good. It's a Thursday, almost the end of the week.
I'm still sleeping.
Or that.
Well, again, this is I need a new cord. So I got to replace that. It's going to drive me insane. No, but coming off of a half marathon, it's the week after is like still trying to, find my legs, I guess. Morning, Scott.
That's tough to do, man. I've never done one, so I commend you on that, man. That's a lot of training, a lot of dedication. That's not giving up. So.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's kind of what Doug and I were talking about the other day when we were talking with PSA, Mike Callahan, and it's a lot of training. It's a lot of dedication to go through it. It's just like anything else we do, right? Like appliance repair. It's a lot of dedication. It's a lot of honing your craft. HVAC, same thing. Like it's no different, right? It's just you're just applying those principles to a different skill.
Yeah. You definitely don't roll out of bed and run a marathon, It doesn't work that way. You don't roll out of bed and be a good appliance tech too, I guess.
No. I mean, like, I don't know that I've met anyone that rolled out of bed and was a great appliance.
And everyone's like, "Oh, it's so easy. I could do it myself." It's like, is it really?
If you meet one, let me know, because I'd love to. Maybe I'll start another company. Hire that guy.
Yeah. I'll just sit back and just manage.
Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. But it is a good morning. We're coming into the weekend. PSA starts Sunday. My goodness. Where has the year gone? How is it September?
We're going to be dealing with ovens here pretty soon, or dishwashers that broke in the summertime. And now they're just going to be calling. So.
Broke last winter.
Yeah.
I need my dishwasher for Thanksgiving. It broke last winter.
Yeah. If you guys have businesses, please start soon to throw it out all on social media. Do not use self-clean in the ovens. Wait till after Thanksgiving to blow your unit up. Just don't do it the day before.
Right.
We're too busy.
Right. Oh my goodness gracious. EJ was on the laundry room yesterday. I didn't get to tune in. I was out doing a flooring job, but I heard it went very well. So
good. I wanted to jump on, and then I started feeling, like I was telling you, I got that little 12-hour, 24-hour bug, and it's like just it was not fun from 3 to 9 o'clock last night. So but EJ killed it. He is
I mean, he always does. He really enjoys doing that presentation on leveling up customer experience. So I'm certain it was good. So it's always nice to be there to support someone, though, so I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get to be there, but shout out EJ.
Yep. Keep it up.
We started that book club, and we did that yesterday. We met yesterday. That's good. We're almost through the book. It was we did the 4 agreements. Kind of a hard book to get through. It's a lot of woo woo fluff. Like there's just, there's about like that much meat and
That much fluff. Yeah.
yeah. So
I know. That's one thing that I need to get better at is reading books. I don't know. Like some of them don't really pique my interest too much. My wife loves to read. Like every night she has to read, and that's what gets her tired to fall asleep and stuff like that. I'm like, crazy, but I'm like, I'm probably the crazy one that doesn't read all the time, but
well,
I don't know.
we're gonna dive more into that today, but that's kind of why we started the book club. Good morning, Adam. Is because like for Rob Jones is in it, and he was sharing a little bit with me yesterday, and he's like, dude, if it wasn't for the club, like I wouldn't be reading. He goes, I know I need to, but I need the accountability to. Like I know to level up my leadership, right, as he's pivoting into leadership at Samsung. He's like, I know I need to level up my leadership, and I know leaders are readers, but I don't have the motivation to do it. I need someone to kind of spur me on. So that, that was kind of it with me and Doug. Like I'm always teasing Doug, like, hey, I just finished this great book. And he's like, bro, now I got to buy another one.
Oh, I know. My wife knocks out like at least 3 books a week. It's like, my gosh, like that's what she likes to do on her free time.
See,
It
I'm
really just
not.
ramped up. It ramped up like I would say in the last like 6 months. Like,
Yeah.
she would read here and there, and then like she just like started to like crazy. I'm like, where did this come out of like left field, And now she's like knocking out like 3 books and all of that, which is fantastic. I mean, it's good she found something to kind of like ease her stress from the daily, grind of just dealing with our kids and just everything. So, I told her, I was like, read some SEO books, read some, give me some pointers. She was like, no.
Back to the business that's given to you. I love it. I love it. Well, let's pray it in and let's get into the meat and potatoes because we're already starting to drift into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Dear Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this chance that we have to gather together. Father, thank you for the laughs and the fun that we get to have. Father, thank you for the provision. We know that we're coming into the fall, which for most of us is just such a busy season. We pray that you set our hearts and minds, that we would focus on you, and we would love and serve our customers well. We thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So today's word is coming from Philippians 4:11 through 13. I am not saying this out of need, for I have learned to be content, regardless of my circumstances. I know how to live humbly. I know how to abound. I am accustomed to any and every situation, to being filled and being hungry, to having plenty and having need. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So the biggest part of that is knowing how to adapt in every situation, whether it's having an abundance or having lack, whether it's being hungry or being filled, right? Living humbly and approaching every day with a conscious curiousness is what I call it. Like that's what I've come to realize is that in humility we have this conscious curiousness to wonder about people or to wonder about a situation or to wonder about a concept, right? Whatever it is. And then that helps to propel us further forward, right? And so that's kind of where we're going with the reading thing is that, it opens up your mind. It helps you be sharp. I was sharing in the pre-roll with Travis that, so I've been helping my buddy who owns a flooring store. And I've been telling him literally for years, here's some basic business principles you need, like that I can see the shortcomings to help you kind of scale. Like these are the things that you're coming to me with, and these are the pivots that you probably should take. And for his mind, he just can't wrap his head around them. And sometimes when you're in the thick of it, it's really hard, right? So one of the principles he's taken is, oh, I do need to take time off. Oh, I do need to not be on every single job and every single measure and and all of a sudden he's like, wow, I have a lot more capacity. Hello. What I've been
Yep.
saying, right?
It's
Um,
so hard to give up that, control, at the very beginning. And then you kind of give up a little bit and you're like, huh, that's nice, and sometimes, you have to take back that control, which is okay too. Sometimes that tech or whomever might not be ready for it, so then you kind of push those boundaries and then you kind of come back and you kind of know exactly where that tech is and what you can give them, and then you just give it some more time and then try to give them a little bit more.
well, it's being humble and being willing to learn too, and learn kind of what those guardrails are, right? Like,
Yep.
and actually, it's twofold, right? So, like for me to go into him, like I was sharing, like I'm the new guy, so I'm doing some marketing stuff for him, which is kind of more what I enjoy, like the video and that stuff. I've been doing a lot of that for him anyway. Um, but I'm also the guy sweeping the floor, right? Like low man on the totem pole, sweeping the floor. Um, but in humility, like just being willing for myself to kind of learn how his business runs and what his pitfalls are, and then share from my failures, like the things that I realized that I didn't succeed in, and being willing to share those with him, and then being quiet long enough to hear him. So twice this past week, I've had two situations where just shutting up and listening went like just such a long way, right? So over the weekend, I met two fellow runners at about mile 3, and we ran the next, 10.1 miles together. But I asked a question and I shut up long enough to listen to the response. And I got to know these two and why they were running and what they were doing in this husband and wife combo. And it was a beautiful story, right? And just like their hearts for people and their parents, and like so I got to hear this beautiful story because I shut up long enough to listen. I put myself aside and listened. And then yesterday I had a chance to chat with a brother, and I just asked a question and he just poured out everything. And at the end he's like apologizing. I'm like, bro, never be sorry for that. Like I I'm honored and humbled that like you shared with me. And so we can take that same approach to our employees, to our teams, to our customers. Shut up long enough to listen
Yep. I mean,
and
it gives
hear
me
what
like
they're saying.
that just reminds me of the old saying, like it's a reason why you have two ears and one mouth.
Mm,
You should listen twice the amount, and it's so true. And you need to be self-aware, and ask, your technicians, hey, how are things going? What can I improve on? Because that really gives a good environment that they feel like they can come to you with issues and stuff like that, and they're not just scared that, oh well, my boss doesn't listen to anything. He's something else. You should listen. You know, we do the same thing, like we kind of bounce ideas off of each other and stuff. And we do this podcast to give all of our knowledge out to y'all, for you guys to listen. There's everyone's at different experience levels. And it's like, I love to hear anyone and everyone. I don't care if they've been doing it for 3 years. They've probably gone through something that maybe I haven't. And you're going to find nuggets of good, just good data for you, just to take in, and you can pivot and do some changes with your company too. Um, So I completely agree. It's kind of hard and it's humbling, you just gotta shut up and just listen, because you're gonna get so much more out of
Oh, Scott.
it.
Let let me know how that goes for you, buddy. Let me know how that goes for you, buddy. I'm curious.
You might
Uh
be using your 2 ears more than the one mouth after that one.
oh man almighty. No, but what I mean, so in what you said, like it is hard to do that. It is hard to shut up and listen, especially to our employees to understand what's going on because we run around with hair on fire. And so that's where the rest and the recovery and the taking the time to read a book, to self improve, to be consciously curious, right? Like I'm speaking from a place where I'm in a different point in the journey. Go back 6 months, go back a year, go back 2 years. Holy crap, I sucked at that, right? Like Doug Shear teases me all the time about being the mindset coach. And I say, those who have the most to learn have the most to teach. I have a crap load to learn, right? I've come a long way, but I still have a crap load to learn. Um, and so I'm willing to open that up and share that with you guys. Don't think that number one that I've arrived and number two that this is impossible. It's a conscious effort to improve those things, Listening's a skill. It's like anything else. It's got to be sharpened.
It is, I mean, it really, really is because you can gain so much knowledge, and same with like reading. I mean, the thing, with me is like I read more tech manuals. I mean, I don't not read, so I sharpen the skill a little bit, but there could be more, and I might have to jump into that book club, just to have that accountability.
We're wrapping up the book we're wrapping up the book on Wednesday and we'll launch into the next one after that. So
You're gonna have to do that. But yeah, I mean, staying, you know, that's another thing for you guys to like learn is like just know like I'm like over 15 years into this industry. Zach's been doing it for a really long time too. We are still learning. I know we kind of push that like so much, but like don't ever think you know it all. Don't ever get that big head where there's nothing to learn. And there might be failures that come up that will humble you. This industry, you know, you get a little cocky, there's a way for it to come back around and really humble you, but learn from those mistakes. Those are the best learning experiences that I honestly feel. Same with my technicians, like I do not, as long as their effort level is there and they are trying, I do not care if they make a mistake. Um, it's a great learning experience, is to learn from your mistakes. And that's another skill too. Don't just brush it off and say, "Oh, I'll never make that mistake again." Like really like sit back and, focus on what you could have done better as a person, so that mistake wouldn't happen and put it in the memory bank. We're always constantly learning. I'm still learning, massively. I've had my business since 2015 and I'm learning from everyone, from the group, on how to run a business, properly. I'm still not 100% perfect, if I was, I would probably have 50 trucks on the road. I don't. That means I have a lot of room to grow. I got 3 techs and myself. I'm still learning how to have my butt sit like in this chair more often and do more back office work and focus more on the business instead of me running out and running service. It's just so hard for me because it's like A, I don't like to turn away calls, and B, I love to talk to people and love to go out to customers' homes, but I need to figure out a balance, with that. And I'm still learning that, and it's not gonna be perfect, but I'll get there one of these days.
I love that, man. Like no matter how long you've been in the industry, you're never too old to learn. You're never too experienced to learn, right? So the business that I purchased, the original owner, he had been in business since 1977. And I took over in 2016. And when I first came on, 10 years ago, he looked at me and he goes, "The world is changing. The industry is changing. I need to learn how to use a smartphone, and I need to learn some different things to help improve the business because things are changing. So I need your help to do that." This guy's 70 years old, wanting to learn how to use a smartphone because he knows that the industry is changing. If you're in your 40s or 50s and you're saying, "Well, I want to go back to the wig-wag machines and I want to," like we reminisce about the old days. We joke about it. Tuesday, the entire conversation was, we had Doug and Mike Callahan, and we were talking about old school stuff, and like, it's okay. It's good. Like, it's good to have an understanding of that, but don't be a freaking stick in the mud and not willing to move forward, right? Like,
Yep. Yeah, I don't
Travis,
want
I
to go
think
back to the old days.
you and I were both in kind of that middle transition period where the old, like, you could have like two fan motors and one dryer motor on your truck um days, and everything's a freaking computer. Like, we were both right in the middle of that transition.
Yeah, the frustration of because I did whenever I first started out, I was my dad was LG and Samsung authorized, and that was back when you had to be authorized to get parts for LG and Samsung. It's not like today where you can just run over to Marcone or Encompass or whatever and get parts. You had to physically be a dealer. It was really awesome to have that contract back then, because you're the only person in town. Like in Austin, my dad's company was the only LG authorized service company for a really long time, and then there was like a couple Samsung, companies. So we got a lot of CODs that way. But to transition from all that, I remember the frustrating days when they came out with series of the model number, which I thought was so stupid. It's like, just have one model number and everything is the same. But no, we have to have the /01s and the 02s and the 07s, and that changes the boards up or a fan motor, and it'd be the same
It's
fan motor but a different connector, and you're like, how dumb,
it is
And
still stupid, by the
it's still
way.
stupid,
Like,
but you get used to, like, oh, I need to go off of the series number and stuff, or they'll have a serial break
right,
and all of that. It's just like,
manufacturer code now, like, that's
yeah,
just dumb.
the truck stock got way hard, and it was even hard when we were just doing LG and Samsung. Like minus like drain pumps on washers and water valves and like oven igniters. Like you couldn't stock any control board. There wasn't. You know, Unless you're doing GE refrigerators, those are fantastic. They all have the same board. They had a great
10942.
they had that great concept, and yeah,
Their manuals suck, though. That's been the topic of
we just
discussion in the
yeah,
tech support community. Like, well, wait a second. That manual doesn't have my model number. I understand, but it applies to 9,000 models. I don't know what you want me to do. That mini manual applies to
yeah.
9,000 models.
It makes sense the second that you told me that, because I mean I'm just so used to like jumping on MSA and putting the model in there and it'll pull up the manual, and I threw that in to help that one guy out, and I'm like, it doesn't pull up. So then I like added it. And you're like, nope, we definitely had this one. You got to search it by the mini manual number, and I'm like, makes sense when you have 8,000 models that use the same mini manual. And
It's crazy, like the crazy amount. But again, the concept remains. Like, they took one board and made one box, but they put like 5,000 different model numbers on it. Like,
yep,
hey, we
yeah,
changed the color this year. Hey,
yeah.
I don't
And
know.
then
Like, we
and
put a new shelf in.
and another thing too that I need to get off my chest, if you guys are asking for help, if you're a member or if you're just throwing it on the Facebook group, don't ask us why if we need information. I don't know if you saw it, Zach, but there's this guy that was having a dishwasher issue. It's an LG dishwasher, that it would continue to run when he would open the door. And he said he replaced the main control board of the door latch. And I asked him, what's the serial number? Because he didn't have the serial number on there. And he asked me, why? I'm
That's
like,
that's one that has a service bulletin, isn't it? There's
it
like a
could have
service
been.
bulletin.
He
Yeah.
hasn't given he has not given me the serial number on it, and he was like, he just said why, and I was like, well, why are you asking for help? I mean, you see how like dumb that, that response is. Like, it tells me how old the unit is. If it's a 2004 through a 2007, then I know that they have issues with the wires embedding into the door liner, and that could go ahead and create your wires to embed together, which will make the circuit stay hot all the time. Like, come on. Like,
Right.
if you're asking for help, be open-minded and humble. And if someone asks for some more information, just, give it to them. It's simple, it'll help end result on getting it fixed. I dealt with another guy that we jumped on Facebook, that was a part of our service alliance, Facebook group, and we went through everything and got it all fixed out. We don't mind, helping willing people that, are willing to go the extra mile too.
That's what it's all about. I mean, just like that willingness to learn. And so a couple of lessons that I've taken away from helping my buddy in flooring, it reminded me that as an owner, like you said, it's really hard to get out of that truck seat, right? Like it's so easy and it's so comfortable to be out there doing all the jobs. Because it depends on what you're trying to do. If you want to scale your business, you can't be in that truck seat. Not all the time, for sure, not all the time. There will come a point where you do kind of need to like not be in the truck seat. Like it's maybe 2% of the time versus,
And I've took Thursdays off completely, because I
yeah.
have all my guys running 4 days. So I'm running 4 days of service, and I have meetings set up with like my marketing team and just doing just other stuff in the office. So it does get me in the office. I just know that I need more of that. I might have to only run just like calls that are hitting the fan that really need me to go
Mhm.
out there. My guys could take care of everything, and then I'm there to take care of, an upset customer or something that the technicians, are understanding, or a recall or something like that, and focus. That's what I'm kind of thinking in my head, that I need to get to that point. And then from there, then I can have a lead technician that can take on all those roles, and then I'm fully in the office. It's kind of my timeline. Well, I don't really have a timeline, but I know that's kind of the steps that I have to take, to be able to grow.
Well, and to get to that, you need someone that's in your business that can elevate to that level, right?
Yeah,
So, like I'll again, because I'm helping him do this, I'm going to use him as the story. My buddy has been doing all the installs and all the measures, and he does have some other guys that go and do measures, but things end up messed up, whatever. Well, he trained his son to be an installer. Kobe is a phenomenal installer when it comes to this stuff. Like the kid is just like he can see it and he can run it and he can do it and he can knock it out. Okay, well that backed off a little bit from my buddy. Now my buddy just has to do the stairs, which are stupid. Doing stairs with laminate, it's just dumb. There's no way around it. It's dumb. So, but that minimized his time going out because now all of a sudden Kobe's doing it.
yep. And
Well,
he'll be able to do the
now
sales. Yeah,
yeah, and then he'll have to start training him on how to do the stairs, right? So then he's got me and one of Kobe's buddies in, right? And so between the four of us, like we can knock these jobs out so much faster. And Matt's realizing that he doesn't really have to be there. The three of us, Drew and Kobe and myself, did a whole nother house, like no issues. We just went back and forth and knocked it out in the time frame, and he was able to go and do other stuff. So it's having someone, the whole point of that is having someone in your business that in the field can handle what you need them to handle, to take those hats off of you. And then when they get to the point that you can promote them to
yep.
managing the rest of them, right? So eventually Kobe will be managing other installers. Like he'll be managing install teams and he'll be the one going around solving issues for his dad, right? And then someone else will be going around and doing all the measures and managing all the measures. And Matt will be managing those
Yep.
people. It's much like what you're talking about. So you do have to have someone that's ready to go.
And
Don't.
you have to have expectations too,
Mhm.
like you have to, and this is the hardest thing about, owners that are just one man shows is you are not going to find somebody that is 100% you. You should be happy with someone that gives you 70% quality of like where you're at. Like other than that, they're going to be your owner, like they're never going to be as good as basically where I'm trying to like get at. You can't say, well, they're not me, so I'm not going to promote into that. No one is going to be you. You have to let go of those reins and give that responsibility and build them up. But that's where a lot of business owners struggle is they're like, well, they're just not as good as me. They're just not ready. And it's like, well, how are they not ready? You're not giving them the opportunity to show you whether or not they're ready. And that's just a lot of control factor that they have that they're just scared to like relinquish it. And they're like, oh, my company's going to go to crap.
Well,
Like
and
if I
that's
do it.
pride. I mean, that's 100% pride. That's exactly what we're
Yeah.
talking about. You have to be humble enough to let go of those reins. You have to know, yeah, it's going to take 2 or 3 guys to do what you do in the field, and you're going to have to be okay with that. It's a temporary pain for a much longer term return, right? So,
Yeah.
like, are you willing to face the pain now for a longer term return, or are you going to be that guy that's 70 years old retiring with nothing, right? Like, like, think long game like that, because that's the reality of it. That is the reality of it. Now, if you
Yep.
want to stay a one man show, that's fine. I'm not like, literally, hear my heart. I'm not knocking you. But those of you that are trying to scale, this is directly pointed at you. Get over yourself. Get the heck over yourself, and be humble. Like, and I'm speaking from my own pain in this, right? Like, you have to teach them everything, make them better than you. They need to be better than
Most
you.
people. Yep. It's 100% the goal. I mean, you need to almost, if you're wanting to scale this business, like my mindset of it is like, this is my retirement plan. I want this to be a good running old machine that I do not have to be in the picture for it to function correctly. There's a lot of work to put into it. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, um, it's going to take a while. Some people can scale it a lot better, because they have more tools at their hand of, scaling stuff. Like I always try to go back to like EJ and his business and stuff like that. He is leap years ahead of where I was a couple years in, and a lot of it is his order of operations. He had all of that already in place to go ahead and start scaling and everything. And I didn't. I'm just going off of a limb, for a majority of the time. And I'm finally kind of like honing in because of the alliance group on what are my shortcomings, and a lot of it is like the back end stuff, that I've gotten better at, and I've focused, on it, because you need to have order of operations in place, like you can't just teach everybody everything. It's good to have everything written out so they can kind of go to a handbook and know exactly what they need to be doing. Instead of going by, up, you made a mistake. No, we do it this way. It's like, well, it could have been in a handbook, and
Right.
that would have never happened.
Kelly, I feel every bit of this. That's why we do what we do.
Yep.
I feel every single feels of what you are going through, brother. I get it. I get it. That's why we do what we do. That's why we have the Service Alliance group. Trust me, that
Yep.
every bit of that, 1,000%. This is a good question. I do want to come back to this, Andrew. Key to management: not letting people stay in the same position. Grow through it. They need to grow through it. And you, as the business owner, guess what? You better grow through it too. So, what are you doing to challenge yourself? What are you doing to better yourself? What are you doing to improve yourself? Because you need to grow too.
Yep.
Because your business will never grow beyond your capability. So if you're a 2, guess what? Your business is a 2. If you're a 10, your business will grow to a 10. You want to grow to 15? You gotta level yourself up to 15 to grow to that. There's no way beyond it. You are the weakest link. So back to this question. How do you personally accept 70% staff, coworkers, employees to all be the best? You have to realize that it may take 3 or 4 people to equal 100%.
Yep. And it's not about giving bad service. You don't want them to give bad service, but there's training opportunities in that you do have to train them. Just know that they will make mistakes. But as long as your company values are good and you're going to take care of the customer, that's all it's about. Like customer could be, angry or whatnot, just, hey, I'll give you half off. You might be eating that ticket, but guess what? You are still making more money overall because you're having more technicians run that you are capable of eating a service call or whatnot, or just doing a complete refund. Like, hey, I'm sorry, we dropped the ball. We couldn't fix it, in a timely manner. Here's your money back, or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
That's the answer.
Rob's
I mean,
100%.
that's really
Yeah.
that's
And
the
that's what I said.
answer.
If my tech is given 100%, or if anyone is given 100% effort, then I can't fault them. They're on the right path. They just need to learn. And we, as business owners and technicians, we've already gone through all those growing pains. Sometimes we forgot that we made mistakes, which you shouldn't, but we have made a lot of mistakes, and you might be making mistakes business wise, that you really aren't coming to grasp on, either. No one is perfect,
We talked about that in the pre-roll. Like, me going
Yep.
to help out and to learn my buddy's business has reminded me of all the things that I did wrong in my business, because I got to a point as the business owner that I forgot where I came from.
Yep.
Like, literally coming into this to help him turn his business around, I'm going, oh my God.
See, Zach has a little twinkle in his eye because he's like fully learning new stuff. So he has a little pep in his step, like he's like on a different train where he's like, hey, I'm the low man on the totem pole, and he's just absorbing all the information. And he's like, you're in a great mood lately, like I feel like that's a little bit of it, you're just learning something new.
Listen, sometimes you got to burn it down and start over. Because you don't lose the things that you learn. No. But sometimes what it does is it burns away all the crap and that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes it burns away all the crap that covered what you learned, right? So like these little nuggets that we're giving to you, it's like I had to go through the refiner's fire, like to go, oh yeah. That's where I get. So that's what my employee was going through. That's what my teammate was going through.
You have to realize too, appliances, like for new technicians, it is overload, for them, because they're having to learn so many different appliances. There's a little bit of a reason why Sears just has you just doing a couple appliances, and then just a lot of it is they want you to be stuck where you don't open up your own business, and know all of the appliances, because they feel like, hey, if you know how to work on all appliances, why are you not going to open up your own business? But my train of thought is because there is so much overload that it is good to kind of train, on just learning a couple appliances, because it is such overload for you learning how to do a washer, a dryer, a refrigerator, all the different appliances. And then you have the old school way of doing it and the new school way. Just realize that, there's a lot of stress on that new technician. There's so much overload that they're having to learn, and you have to give them, mental days. See, that's why I went to 4 days a week, and they love it. And I get so much better work out of them, just because mentally they have 3 days off to kind of regain and go back at it.
So let's go through this. I love this. Take ownership of mistakes and train up. Train up is exactly what we are saying. So and that kind of addresses this comment, right? Like, so yeah, there are a ton of slackers out there, and we've all been in companies where it's nothing but slackers. You know whose fault that is? The owner. Because
Yep.
what you tolerate permeates, right? So what you tolerate in your own life, in your own business, in your own family, in your own community, that's what's going to persist. That's what's going to
100%.
radiate throughout. So if you've been in a situation where no one rises up, it's because they haven't been challenged to rise up. It's because the owner is willing to accept the crap,
Yep.
right? Um, Look at what grows after a forest fire. You see black and charred ground, and the greenest grass starts growing over. Like I said, sometimes you got to burn it down and
Yep.
start all over.
Yeah, I mean, that's how whenever I owned, my first business that, that's exactly what happened is I did not keep people accountable, like I had 8 technicians, and it had to get burned to the ground. I had my wife, we had our first son, so my wife wasn't running the office, and I was 8 technicians, and I was still running service. I was not planted in the office working on things, and I started finding out because I wasn't accountable, like I was just running service being a technician, not being a business owner. And there's things that were going on where if it was a harder part, I saw that technicians were going out and saying, oh, well, it needs an extra part because they knew that they weren't going to, the percentage of them going back out to that same call was pretty low. So like, I don't want to do this. I'll just say it needs another part. And that was like sliding. So they knew that was okay. So that like kept happening and kept happening. By the time that I finally like caught it because it was happening like so much, I was like, everything was just a dumpster fire. And I had to
Well, and
put
I
it down.
guarantee it pissed you off. Like I
Oh
guarantee you're
yeah.
sitting there getting frustrated about it, and there's two paths that you can take from that frustration. You can learn from it, and you can grow through it, and you can make the changes, or you can just sit there and throw a pity party for yourself and go, "Oh, this, it's employees, it's customers, it's this, it's
They
that,
don't
it's da, da,
care.
da, da." Yeah,
Yep.
it's you. It's
Yep.
freaking you. So you got two choices and I know I'm being hard on you guys, but I'm being hard because I'm being hard on me, right? Like there's two paths. Travis burned it down and started over again.
Yeah,
I'm
we don't want
going
you to go through it. Yeah,
right.
we
Like
just don't want you to. We want you to listen to us, and we don't want you to go through the same mistakes that we've gone through.
if
Nothing's
you can avoid
wrong.
them, if you
Yeah,
can avoid them.
yeah, nothing's wrong with it. You learn from it, and you learn crazy valuable lessons. And I don't. I wouldn't change anything for the world because I feel like it was such a valuable lesson that I learned. To become successful on something just completely just it was great when it was great, and then it was a dumpster fire when it was a dumpster fire, and I learned a lot just so I will never have my company run like that ever again. Um, you know,
So this is when I decided that it was time to finally fully step away and then begin to work on me.
yep,
I know the market is tough, but there's plenty of people that are actually getting new hires. But when I couldn't retain someone, I had to look internal. And it was time for me to burn it down
yep,
and start over. Right. So that again, that's personal experience, right? Travis, like you're in a position where you're ready to hire, but you've done that hard work. You've done that. Oh boy, that was a really stupid way to do this. Okay, here we go again. Right? Like you've done that reset. So you're a little further down the scale on the reset than I am, you know.
yeah. We kind of talked about it last year or last week. On your cost of doing business, I was just doing warranty work,
Mhm.
and that was one wrong thing. It's like I was like 98% warranty. It was basically all warranty unless that warranty customer called back for a COD, which doesn't really happen too much.
Right.
But yeah, it was money. It was just everything. it was just a learning experience because I feel like, and that's why, like, right now we're on hold from our company because I have an American Home Shield account, but we just got a new rep. And first thing is, we had a conversation. I'm like, look, I was like, I have like 80 reviews on your guys' site, and it's like a 4.8, which is like so hard to do on warranty customers. They're so darn demanding. I was like, that's my number one goal is a happy customer. I was like, my price is my price, and he didn't like that, and he put us on hold. And I got another meeting with him today. And that's the thing. It's like, they will try to strong arm you to go cheaper, and now I've been on hold for a month and voila, he's like, hey, can we have another Zoom meeting? Well, yeah, probably because we're one of the few companies that do sealed system, and it's like, but you kind of have to do that. But I set my company up because we do maybe 5% American Home Shield, calls, it's not that many. But we set our company up to where, we are in control. We do not give that control to American Home Shield. We do not make rash decisions in the wrong interest of our business. Because they want you to go as cheap as possible. Of course, they're there to make money too, and you draw that line.
That allows your employees to have more faith and more trust into you.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, if you're running a bunch of warranties on the technician retention, you can't afford to pay them, more money, because it's basically like your profits are your profits, and what they're making is like pushing the boundaries of what you can even pay. You can't really give them more of a pay raise because it's just going to hurt you.
So one of the other things that I want to talk to about this and kind of what you just said, every generation's different. I was reading in a HR thing the other day that, like, what motivates us because we are in the millennial generation, right? We're that border of millennial, Gen X, whatever. So what motivates people in our generation versus what motivates these fresh out of high school versus what motivates, our parents' generation are very different things, right? Like, we were just trained up, like, you work your butt off and, someday you might have enough money to retire. And it seems like that's slipping away slowly, but surely, right? So one thing motivates us, but something entirely different motivates the younger generation, right? Like, they didn't have the same experiences. And that kind of goes back to what we talked about in the very beginning. Shut up and figure out what people want. Like, just take the time to listen, because, like, I am of the solid opinion, because I've seen it done in enough industries, that if you take the time to listen and train, even maybe from the ground up, and you're providing what they're actually looking for, right? Whether it's money or it's time off or it's, not having to pay for their childcare, right? Like, you're taking care of their child, whatever that looks like. Cause I don't know what it is. Every person is different. That's the point. And you elevate them, you help them level up, you provide a pathway of growth because you're leveling yourself up. They're going to be a lot more loyal. They're going to learn a lot faster. They're going to be willing to stay a lot longer, if that makes sense. It seems like a real long game.
Yeah.
But isn't business a long game? Like,
yeah.
Isn't that kind of the point?
So Rob just dropped in, damn participation trophies, and that makes me chuckle because it's when you think about it, it's like, it's so true. But then on the aspect, if you kind of put your feet in their shoes, is they're growing up in an era where they have more knowledge than we did. They're not being stupid. It's not a participation trophy. They just know that corporate greed, is a real thing. And it's tough for small businesses because we don't have corporate greed. We have so much expenses. We can only pay what we can pay. But
because of corporate greed, but that's,
yeah. Exactly. But they're just smarter. They know that we were kind of taught to, hey, this is the path that you have to go. You have to start from the bottom. You're going to be making no money. You're going to work your butt off, and then you're going to reap the benefits down the road after all of that hard work. They're coming in now saying, like, I'm not going to work for nothing. I want a respectable pay, and a little bit of it is just like housing, how crazy, how expensive housing is now. It's so disproportional. Whenever we were younger, we got a 2-bedroom apartment for $600. They're looking at a 1-bedroom apartment that's like $1,600, on average, so the cost of living has gone up, and a little bit of that, but no one wants to start at the bottom anymore and make the bottom money. They want to make good money to start out with. And I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, because everyone deserves to have a livable wage, and stuff like that. It's just they're setting the market, because no one wants to work for $12 an hour or $15 an hour. They're demanding more. And can you fault them? They're finally like getting behind it, and it's tough for business owners. Like my new hire that had no experience, I paid $25 an hour to start out with. That's just mind blowing to me. Like, but it's what the market bears. And being that I'm COD based, I can make that pivot, because we are making a little bit more profit off a COD base instead of warranty. I wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be able to retain your technicians because there's not enough meat on the bone.
Now the other things, like, is he producing? Is he, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they have to be a good. And my new tech is giving me 100% effort, and he's surprising me on a lot of stuff because he was just out on a commercial dishwasher. I hate working on commercial dishwashers.
I hate all dishwashers, but
they're a pain. But guess what? He called tech support and got it figured out. He was there for an hour
right.
and a half or whatever, but he doesn't have that give up. And that's what I love about him. My other technician that started in April, you never catch him on a bad day. He's always, and first thing in the morning, super happy, always in a good mood. And he gives that to customers. He gives super customer, good experience with customers and stuff. And he does great work too, but they have those attributes that are not trainable. You can't train that at all.
And again, that's what you tolerate is what's going to permeate. And so like, That's the point. This is a balancing act. Like this is just an introduction to the crap that you're going to go through. We're just encouraging you to be humble, to be consciously curious, to be willing to shut up and listen long enough to hear what your customers want, what your team wants, and then to begin to level yourself up, to elevate yourself so that you can elevate your team. It's a huge, huge topic, and we could talk about it for weeks on end.
Yeah.
And we probably will talk about it for weeks on end. You're just going to keep going down this ADD fueled adventure with us because
we're just scratching the surface on this too. We could stick with one topic and have it for the entire month and not be able to really get
exhaust
too far
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. Well, I got to go get my kid ready and then I got another meeting. So it has been a blast. I've enjoyed the conversation as always. Thank you for your comments, everyone. You helped to fuel the ADD raged conversation. We love you all. Tune in tomorrow for Ask Us Anything. EJ and TK, I believe. And if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, if you're going to be in the Orlando area, use code SVA, save $50 for the PSA convention down in Orlando, Florida. There is a post pinned at the top of Appliance Alliance at the very least. So get out there and check it out. Guys, have a good day, and I will see you again next week on Tuesday. Peace.
Bye, guys.